In 1817, Frédéric Chopin was already a 7-year-old prodigy in Warsaw. He was composing intricate polonaises and performing in the palaces of the Polish nobility before he was even out of primary school, drawing immediate comparisons to a young Mozart. In 1830, at the age of 20, he left Poland to seek his fortune in Vienna and Paris. He had no idea it would be a one-way trip. Just weeks after he crossed the border, an armed rebellion against Russian rule erupted back home, the November Uprising. He missed the fighting entirely. Over the next 10 months, the Russian army crushed the rebels and dismantled the Polish state. The country was effectively absorbed into the neighboring empires, its schools closed, and its government dissolved. This sudden political erasure turned a polite classical musician into a stateless refugee. Chopin was now in exile, locked out of a homeland that was being systematically scrubbed from the official maps of Europe. Chopin received the news of Warsaw's fall while stranded in Stuttgart. Unable to reach his family and physically unfit to join the fighting, he suffered a feverish nervous breakdown. His private diary from this period reveals the depth of his crisis. He wrote frantically, questioning his faith and agonizing over the fact that he was sitting idle with bare hands, while his countrymen were being killed in the streets he grew up on. That trauma triggered an immediate shift in his music. The light, youthful lyricism of his early work was replaced by a new, dramatic intensity, exemplified by the Revolutionary Etude, a work defined by its turbulent, cascading roar of sound. Since he could not fight for Poland on the battlefield, the piano became the site of his resistance. His music was no longer just entertainment. It was a physical substitute for the country he had lost. When Chopin arrived in Paris in late 1831, he was an unknown refugee with only a single ducat in his pocket. Yet within months, he had successfully integrated into the highest levels of the city's artistic and social elite. He achieved this not through massive public concerts, but in the intimate Parisian drawing rooms known as salons. It was here that he performed his polonaises and mazurkas, infusing traditional Polish rhythms with a sophisticated, nostalgic character. The European musical establishment was quick to recognize his originality. After seeing one of Chopin's early published works, the composer Robert Schumann famously declared to his readers, "Hats off, gentlemen, a genius." This quiet, refined style set him apart from his peers. While Franz Liszt was building a career as a public virtuoso who thrived in large concert halls, Chopin was notoriously nervous in front of crowds. He gave only about 30 public performances in his entire life. Because of his physical frailty and introverted nature, Chopin invented a style of playing that didn't rely on sheer volume. Instead, he pioneered a system of nuance and subtle touch that transformed the piano into a deeply expressive vocal instrument. In 1836, he met the novelist George Sand. She was a controversial figure who wore masculine clothing and smoked cigars, a complete temperament match for the prim and proper Chopin. Their relationship became a partnership of opposites. In 1838, hoping the Mediterranean air would save Chopin's failing lungs, they traveled to Majorca. They ended up living in a cold, abandoned monastery in the village of Valdemosa. The trip was a disaster. A brutal winter rain set in, and the monastery became a damp, freezing prison. As his health worsened, Chopin suffered from terrifying hallucinations, imagining death and cursed creatures rising from the shadows of his room. Incredibly, amidst this feverish isolation, he continued to work. He composed his set of 24 preludes there, including the Raindrop Prelude, which mirrored the relentless sound of the Majorca storm. This grueling winter served as a crucible for his talent. Despite the cold and the illness, he produced the defining works of his maturity, pieces that remain the technical and emotional core of the piano repertoire today. After 9 years of Sand serving as both his romantic partner and his primary nurse, the relationship began to unravel under the strain of family conflicts and Chopin's deteriorating health. The final break came when Sand published the novel Lucrezia Floriani. It was a thinly veiled account of their relationship that portrayed the character based on Chopin as a weak, sickly, and emotionally cold prince. Their mutual friends were stunned when Sand read the manuscript aloud to a seemingly oblivious Chopin. He praised the writing, apparently unaware that he was the target of her mockery. By 1847, the relationship ended for good. Without Sand to act as his nurse or the stable environment of her country estate to recuperate in, his chronic respiratory disease, likely tuberculosis, progressed unchecked, leaving him physically shattered. Chopin spent his final months on an exhausting tour of England and Scotland, weighing less than 100 pounds and frequently coughing up blood. He returned to Paris in late 1849 and died at the age of 39. His funeral at the Church of the Madeleine was attended by the artistic and social elite of Paris. In accordance with his wishes, the service was scored by Mozart's Requiem. But he left one final, macabre request. Terrified of being buried alive, he demanded that his heart be removed after his death. His sister had it preserved in a jar of cognac, fulfilling his wish to keep his heart separate from his body. His sister then secretly smuggled the heart past Russian border guards and returned it to Poland. It was eventually interred in a pillar of the Holy Cross Church in Warsaw, finally returning a piece of him to the country he had been forced to leave. Today, his technical legacy is preserved by the International Chopin Piano Competition, where the world's most talented young pianists compete to master the unique, demanding style he pioneered in the Paris salons. Frédéric Chopin's body failed him at 39, and the nation he loved was erased from the map during his lifetime. But his ultimate triumph was preserving the identity of that country within his music, ensuring that as long as his piano works are played, Poland remains alive.